Hey everybody, this is Laird of Garscaddon. Pardon my hair, I just woke up and I checked my subscriptions and saw this video and I was like, oh, this is terrible. Anyway, this is a video response to atheists, why don't you kill yourselves? Just, part of this is just to get the word out that there's this video out there and there's this Christian who's trying to persuade atheists to kill themselves. And let me just preface this before I give my thoughts on this, that this guy is probably the most amoral person I've ever seen on YouTube, at least. I mean, how cold can you be to try to convince somebody to kill themselves? You know? Even if it's, and what's worse is that he does it through a very indirect way. He's just like, well, if you really believe in what you say, then you should make way for other things to flourish because your life is so irrelevant and so insignificant. It's a very, very dirty tactic to put yourself on some kind of moral high ground, and it has the feel of it trying to be persuading you to Christianity. But the fact of the matter is, this guy he has no morals. I think he just wants people to kill themselves. And he says, no, I don't really want to persuade anybody to kill themselves, but if you haven't thought about your own death, then you haven't lived. Give me a break, man. It's not just people your age who watch YouTube, There are middle school kids who watch this stuff. Imagine some 12-year-old kid who is in a battered home and living with some foster parents, and he sees this video and he says, huh, he's got a point. You just killed somebody there. You are a murderer. Alright? And if you really believe in not killing people, you wouldn't put out this video. You know what? You should remove this video, like right now. As soon as you see this, you should get rid of this video. Because you are responsible for killing people, alright? That's enough of that. Have some morality. If you're a real Christian, you will stand up on your own principles and take this video off. You are a menace, sir. You are really evil. You're one of the most evil Christians I've ever seen, that you want to persuade people to kill themselves. Now, a couple points you've made. You said if people read more books, there will be less atheism. I disagree strongly, okay? If you read more books, and okay, what books are you talking about here? If you read a lot of Christian books, then yeah, probably there'd be less atheism, depending if that's all you read and you have only one perspective, yeah, sure. But if you read a lot of perspectives on the same topic, for example, my example would be the Armenian genocide. I've got like the American perspective and the German perspective, like the past and the present perspectives of the thing. If you read enough of those things, you'll have your head, in a crazy place. You don't know where you're going, and if anything, this is sort of driving me towards atheism, because you're like, what is the truth here? You can't really find any meaning here, and the whole point is to try and make your own meaning out of all these different perspectives on the same thing, the Armenian genocide. An Armenian who has lived through the genocide will have a totally different perspective from an Armenian who hasn't lived through it. And he's just trying to build his own meaning, and of course he wouldn't have his own he'd have a different meaning from, say, a Turkish scholar writing about it, who is not brainwashed, by the way. He is very serious. He'll take a different angle on it. Everybody's got their own angle on the same thing, including God. So, I would say reading more books makes you think more and makes you rely on your own meaning-making skills. rather than looking to Christianity or some higher power. If you do that, that's just one other angle. There are lots of angles that you have to consider here. And you have to consider the validity of each perspective, each viewpoint. And then you have to make your own educated stand, your own meaning on the same thing. So if it's the meaning of life you're talking about, listen to as many people as you can. Not just the Christians, but the atheists and everybody. And if it's on the topic of suicide, you don't have to listen to just the existentialists like Camus and Sartre and all those people. Personally, okay, suicide is a cowardly way to go. It's the most cowardly act that a human being can do. It is an act of sheer cowardice. All right, it takes gonads to stay alive. All right, to choose to live. Even if you're in a battered home with foster parents, or if you're in a terrible situation where everybody is starving all around you, like look at my Zimbabwe video, for example. People are dying of cholera everywhere. If you're living in the bubonic plague, where 2/3 of everyone are dying and you don't know why, certainly people have contemplated suicide many times. World War II, the French, they contemplated, their meaning all the time. And I think that's where Camus did most of his work, was in France. To choose to live, all right, that takes strength. And yeah, you're dealing with meaninglessness all the time. And to say, why don't you kill yourself, that's not cowardly, that's evil. And if anybody who watches that asshole's video and you choose to live, you are incredibly brave, all right? You listen to him and you take him seriously, you think about your own death, and you choose to live, you get a reward. You get a pat on the back from me, all right? You need to choose life. That's where it is. That's how it is. That's how you live. You embrace the meaninglessness and the absurdity of the universe, and you still live. You still go on. How dare this guy try and do this? He says you haven't thought until you have contemplated suicide. He is a selfish bastard, and anybody who tries to kill themselves is very selfish and very cowardly. Alright? Now, I'm not being pessimistic here. I want people to play to their true natures and say, I am not a coward. I can take whatever life throws at me. I can still live. I can still go on. I believe in the power of the human being to persist through times of darkness. Alright? Even in the Armenian genocide, where Turks were ripping the bellies open of pregnant women or beating people to death, including infants, with cudgels, people still chose to live. They didn't kill themselves. Well, maybe some of them did, but most of them didn't. They chose to persevere. And most of them, when given the option to convert to Islam or stay a Christian and die, most of them chose to stay a Christian and be killed because it meant that much to them. Alright? Suicide or compromising your principles should never happen. Okay? Anyway, I hope you take this seriously. And as for that asshole who made that video, I hope you watch this. And, I hope you take that video off and you think about what you've done. Alright? How many people have died by watching your video? You are responsible here. Okay? You're a killer. Take that video off and stop the killing right now. This is lairdofgarscaddon signing out.
Never seen a bluer sky. Yeah, I can feel it reaching out and moving closer. There's something about blue